And shoot.
Who do you think the media targets with sexually explicit shows like Grey's Anatomy, Gossip Girl, The Tudors, and
Late night HBO.
yeah.
Seems like the media really targets probably the males between, I don't know, kind of teenage males, I would imagine.
Okay.
Maybe into the 20s. But I also, I mean, I see my daughter, teenage. I don't think she's not watching those shows, but I think there's some appeal to those as well. I don't know about those shows, but they're not really sexually explicit, but they're getting there, and so I think it's kind of that age group.
Well, those are
So-
our examples. Can you think of a show that you think is sexually explicit and who it's aimed at?
I don't know. I think that some of the MTV, so the music stuff seems to, MTV and VH1 seems to be oriented that way. Again, it seems to be towards those age groups as well. Be interesting to know if it's mostly females, mostly males. I think when you look at a lot of the commercials, I think commercials definitely focus on issues of gender and sex. And I think they go both ways. I mean, I think it's really, a perfume. They're not going to be speaking to a male to buy that perfume. Then you get beer commercials, drink Budweiser, you're going to get these women draped all over you if you drink Budweiser. So I think it really depends, commercials obviously very different than a full-length show, but I think similar kind of outcomes. Other shows, I don't watch a lot of TV, so.
Yeah, me neither. We don't have a TV, so. Why do you think sex is glorified in popular music?
In popular music, well, I think sex is glorified not just in music, but all over, is because it's. I think because it's so critical to humans, to animals in general, humans especially. So whether it's trying to attract mates, whether it's trying to sell a product, really, it's a part of human life, I think, and so human life couldn't continue if we didn't have sex. That's basic reproduction. Obviously, it's going way beyond that in the popularization of it. But in terms of music, I don't know. Again, I think it's reaching to those age groups and trying to attract those age groups.
Which age groups again?
Probably upper teens into the early or late 20s.
Okay.
Late 30s.
When did you first hear about sex?
Or encounter sexuality?
Yeah.
Probably really early. I don't really remember, but I grew up in the 60s, so my dad was a college professor, so I think it was kind of the 60s and sexual revolution. It's pretty, my parents would have pretty wild parties. Not that sex was going on there, but it's just kind of all of that. I remember as a kid, they had a big party and everybody went skinny dipping, so things like that. College kinds of things still going on, maybe, I don't know, but it's.
I don't know, we don't skinny dip.
We don't skinny dip.
Who do you think has the most influence on teens' views of sex? So who do you think shapes teens' minds?
I think peers. I think peer to peer. Parents. As a parent myself, you want the parents to be shaping that, but I think it's really peer to peer. I think some education might get in there. I think sometimes the parents, it's kind of, they block off the parents, so they're not getting to the kids. It could be the church in some ways, depending on the individual and the culture, but I think really it's probably mostly peers.
What are your views on sexual education in public schools?
Well, I think it's necessary. Really think a lot of those programs are getting cut, and be interesting to see if you get more teen pregnancy, more diseases, things like that. I think there needs to be more openness in terms of sex education.
How did you feel about George W. Bush's abstinence-only education policies?
Don't agree with it. I think people need to have a choice. I don't really know the data, and it'd be interesting to see some of the data, and I know there's a lot of good data out there, but I would think that you've got to provide choices. People are going to have sex, so abstinence is good for some people, but clearly it's not for others, so you've got to have some choices there.
What do you think the general view of sex is among teens? Like, is it a good thing, a bad thing, something to be scared of?
I'm not sure.
What do you think kids
even though I
think
have a
of sex?
teenager.
What do you think goes through her mind when you say the word sex?
She gets embarrassed when her dad says it.
Yeah.
So, but I think more. What was the question again?
What do you think the general view of sex is among teens?
General view of sex. I think it seems pretty open. And just the things I see about sexting and things that and I know those are probably extreme examples, but it seems to be happening more and more. So it seems to be fairly open. It's kind of interesting with AIDS and HIV. You would think that there'd be a little more care and thought to sex, but it doesn't seem to be slowing it down. Maybe people are being more protective. I really don't know, though. It'd be interesting to see compared to 20, 30 years ago, if you're seeing any changes there.
What do you think the average age for the first time is among our generation, or among teens today?
I have no idea.
If you had to guess.
I had to guess. 15.
Why do you
Or would
think
that be like a freshman, sophomore, high school? I'd say around that age.
Okay.
Why do you think sex plays such a large role in our media culture?
Again, I think because it's, I think because of who we are, we're animals, and sex is a critical component to reproduction. We have hormones that really, that drive a lot of kinds of things. And then it's taken to a new level, really, I think, with marketing. So I think sex used as marketing is a whole another angle.
But with our culture in comparison to others like Arabic countries, why do you think it's so prominent in the United States?
It's probably not just the United States, maybe Western cultures. Like at places like Brazil, probably even much more open at sexual kinds of things. Again, I would probably argue a lot of it's media.
Do you agree with the way that sex is portrayed in the media, or like how it's used in the media?
Not really. I mean, I can kind of see that, I don't think we should have censorship, and I think I'd much rather see sex in the media than violence, actually. Make love, not war. But I don't like to see sexual violence. I don't like to see demeaning, which a lot of it often is demeaning. But again, I don't think